What's up, everybody? It's Drew Lentz, the Wireless Nerd. Today is October 10th, 2024. If you joined us yesterday when I had some awesome audio issues, it sounded like I was talking through a tube, you're probably going to hear the same stuff today that you heard yesterday. There's a couple new things that have happened like in the last 24 hours. However, I started to go through and like rinse the audio out a little bit and try and figure out how to clean it up, and it totally was not working. And so I just figured, why not re-record? And I was like, well, if I'm going to re-record, I might as well go live. I mean, whatever, dude, increase the number of hours viewed. I don't know. Anyway, if you have comments or questions or whatever, please feel free to jump in on the YouTube or jump in on Twitter or X or LinkedIn or wherever you're listening to this. But it is Thursday, October 10th. Lots of crazy stuff happening. It was a pretty good week last week and the week before. I did skip the podcast last week. I thought that I'd be able to crank it out, but time was not on my side. In and out of San Francisco at the Meter Up event, and that is where I want to start today, specifically with Meter Up. Now, again, if you're listening to this today and you heard it yesterday, I'm going to try and keep the same enthusiasm, okay? Will that work? Obviously, I'm going to edit all of this fun stuff out, but that's all right. Mini Tom Brady, here we go. We will be mentioning Mini Tom Brady. So that being said, let's see if I can get my little screen share working where I have the audio working the way that it's supposed to. Now, let's see here. Does it sound like I'm talking in a barrel? That's the first question. Anyway, so I was also told by friends that I needed more graphics, less Drew. So we're going to try and do that. And that's what caused the audio issues yesterday, but it's all good. Let's go through it. So anyway, the Meter Up event was a lot of fun. It took place last week, and basically it was a bit of a coming out party, an announcement party about who Meter is and what they're doing. And it was attended by a number of industry experts and by panelists and by people like me and people who've been in the industry for a long time. So you had all these crazy customers there. It was really weird to look at the name badges of everybody because you would do a double take. You'd be like, whoa, what is that person doing here? And then all of a sudden you'd look to the other side. You'd be like, wow, that's okay. That's pretty cool. They really had a great field of experts and analysts in the audience. And I don't know how I got on that guest list, but I was there and it was a lot of fun. As were a couple of friends of mine. So we'll snap through some photos here real quick. You can see that the event itself took place at a place called the Archery, I believe, and it was in the Mission area of San Francisco. First off, I do want to give a shout out to the team over at Luma, the Luma Hotel in San Francisco. This is the room that they put me up in. It never hurts, by the way. It never hurts to ask for an upgrade. I called downstairs. I said, look, I know you have an upgrade. I got a lot of friends that are here, and I need a better room than all of them. Can you help me out? And they did, which was really cool. So shout out to the team over at Luma San Francisco. This was the balcony in my room. Just a great view overlooking everything. So if you happen to be in that area by the place where the Golden State Warriors play over by the Meraki offices. This is right across the water right there. It's a great little area. And so I got to stay there. That was pretty great. Meter did go all out on this event. So the name badges, first and foremost, lots of compliments. I'm looking for it. It's around here somewhere. Lots of compliments on the name badges. These were really cool for what it's worth. So there were all these little details of things that just made this a really great event to attend. You could see Keith here and Mark, and there's Jerry, everyone having a good time. It was great to see everybody out there. They started by asking, why the crowd that was in the audience, why they chose this crowd. And they did it because they wanted feedback, right? They wanted true feedback from people. And there was no shortage of that. They went on to explain how their system works and what it's going to do. And they really drilled down into what makes them different than everybody that's out there. Specifically, not even specifically, they started like from the traces on the PCBs to the distance of the lights to the way that they build their entire network operating system from top to bottom. It was really cool to learn about what they're doing. And in true Meter fashion, they really gave everybody the opportunity to see everything that they were doing. There were parts where some of the product managers stood and said, hey, I'm just going to tell them, is that cool? And then they went and talked about product that was unreleased, or they talked about something that they were working on. And that was great to see just that level of excitement from their side shared with everyone in the audience. They went into meticulous detail about, specifically Josh went in and talked about what he was doing on the hardware side, and everything from the knurling of the knobs to, again, to the distance of the LEDs to the offset, how they want to make this one big push into doing things the right way and being absolutely careful to make sure that it looks the way it's supposed to and it acts the way it's supposed to, because the hardware is a representation of the hardware that's inside, of the PCB that's inside, which is a representation of the software. And a lot of thought went into this, y'all. This wasn't something that they just popped up after being kind of flying under the radar for about 10 years. They really wanted to come out and show everyone what they could do. And those 10 years weren't spent with just one or two customers. They had a really cool logo slide that I'm showing here. And there were a lot of different people that, lots of logos on there of people that have deployed this. And that went into the next part of the seminar, where they talked about the people that had deployed it, and they put them up on the stage. They showed some really cool product. They had a full rack of equipment up on the stage, which was really neat to see. We could get hands-on with everything that was there. They gave out some really cool swag, and it was fun. The whole thing was lighthearted, right? So here's, if you're listening on the podcast, I have a picture of Anil, the CEO, of just laughing with Keith Parsons, having a great time out there. It was very light and fun. And then they brought up, this is a picture. What you see here is Roy Chua, who I finally got to meet. Roy from Avid Thing, finally got to meet Roy. What a fun dude. Way more, like, having never met him and only read all of the articles that he posted and seeing him on stage, with pictures like this where he's like pronouncing, something or talking about something. I didn't know that he's just like a really lighthearted, fun dude. And he really is. He's what a great person. I can see why everybody puts him on their panels now, is what I'm saying. And so right beside him, we've got Sean Morgan from Del Oro. We've got Kerry Buckley from Greylock Partners, and then I believe his name was Bruce, and then we've got a Perv from Meter, and they talk about what this means for the industry. And it was really great to see not just the analyst side, like the analyst side that writes all the papers and gets all the stuff done, but people who've actually deployed this and why they're deploying it and what it means for them and for their customers in the future. So that was really great to see. Then they took us on a field trip. We got out and we got some fresh air, and we walked around the area. We walked to different parts of their buildings. We walked to their Q&A lab, which you can see here. They opened up the doors. They let us go in and see everything that they were doing. And it was fantastic. We walked into the lab, and there's some Wi-Fi stands hanging out, providing connectivity for everyone in there. That was pretty cool. I loved seeing that. But it was great to see them open their doors and to really gather feedback from people that were there. There were things that they mentioned, and then there were things that they didn't mention. And I think that, it's not an oversight. It's just that they stick so close to it and they do it on a day-to-day basis. So they're not really looking... They're not really, I don't want to say they can't see the forest through the trees, but they're so close to it that sometimes some of the things that the audience was asking, they're like, oh, yeah, okay. Yes, we do that, but they hadn't mentioned it. So it was really neat to see them being vocal and upfront and honest about it. Yeah, I don't want to say to the extent that they forgot about stuff, because they didn't forget about stuff. They just, there were so many things that there's so much going on that I don't think they could encompass all of it in one show, in one sitting. So I'm really looking forward to more of these. I'm looking forward to more meter ups where people can ask more questions, where they can really hone in the story and talk about what it is to a much larger, broader audience. Because part of the problem when you put so many people in the room is everybody's coming from a different perspective. That's a lot of questions to field from a whole bunch of different angles. So I can't wait to see what they do. And a big old shout out to Sarah. This is one of the Sarahs. This is the Sarah. This is Sarah Kwan. Sarah was responsible, I believe, for making this event happen. And it's a team effort over there at Meter. So everyone puts in what they're supposed to do. But she was definitely spearheading a lot of what was happening. And there's a picture of her, like, here, I like this picture of her where she's like, I hope everything's going well. So Sarah, much love for everything that you did. It was very warm. It was very welcoming. It was great to be there. It was great to have us being able to walk around. We walked into the shipping component. We got to meet Michelle, whose like life's mission is to make it easy to get equipment out the door. We got to get hands-on with everything, and that was really neat. There's Michelle. She's awesome. We got to really see what was going on. It felt like we were on a tour. We're following people around with flags. So it was it was pretty cool to be there, and they had some really special guests that were in the audience. But I think more than anything, what made me happy was to see so many people that I know and so many people that I had heard about or talked about being able to understand what this product is and what it means for the industry. And so Keith Parsons led a really cool panel talking about what this means for you, for me as an engineer, as an RF engineer, as someone who works on these networks on a day-to-day basis. What is that going to mean for our jobs? And what is that going to mean in the future for CCIEs or for people that are the nerds that bring crazy equipment out and try it? And I think this is one of those things where it's like, this isn't so much about replacing a job or replacing the need for a job. This is someone elevating themselves to have a full understanding of the network, but understanding also that the network can do a lot of these functions on its own when it's steered in the right direction. And when you don't have to worry about the small, meticulous things that you have to, go in and check every day, when the network is able to do a lot of that by itself, in an automated fashion with guidance, obviously, then that gives you the ability to really start to do more with your time. And I think that was one of the big overtones, was understanding, okay, this is that AI that everyone's talking about, that you can come in. I don't have to know every command line on CLI anymore. I don't have to know how to write Python. I don't have to know how to use an API. I can just ask the network how to do it, because literally that's what it was. That is actually what command is a zero code component where you get in there and you just tell it what you want and it can do it for you. But there has to be this firm understanding of knowing what to tell the network to do. I think that's the biggest key, is having the underlying knowledge of how networks work, how they function, how the data flows, and what to ask of the network in order to get it to do what you want. Now, it can talk to you in a native language, which was totally incredible to see, just in your language, but you have to know what to ask of it. You could say, hey, build a network, and it'll tell you, okay, I built a network. But if you be specific, say build a network that's secure and segments traffic between management and users, well, that's a different thing. And it can do that. You just have to know to tell it to do that. And so there's going to be some change, I think, in the way that education takes place when it comes to networking and IT, but that's a really, really good thing. And I've said it over and over again. I think the most important thing to me, the most impactful thing, is that this isn't just a sign of what Meter's doing. This is a sign for the entire industry. This is such a cool place that we're in, where these networks do what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it. And if we can embrace that, then that really blows the doors off what the capability of our IT directors and our CIOs and the network administrators and engineers have the ability to do. But now that bar has been raised. Meter has gone in and they've raised that bar by introducing things like this, by introducing things like command, and introducing, the what do they call the thing right beside the canvas, right beside command, which was crazy. And I caught that. They were showing off canvas and we were using it. And then 2 days later, ChatGPT publicly announced canvas for ChatGPT. And I was like, wait a minute, we just saw that. If you know about the investment components in Meter, that is absolutely not a surprise, but it's really neat to know that Meter has that connection. It seems, and I'm not saying they do, but it seems like they've got some really cool access to some really cool technology that's helping them move forward. So very, very neat. Very, very neat. Obviously, I'm talking about the whole Sam Altman, ChatGPT, OpenAI thing, and the investment that they've made in Meter. That goes without saying, but I said it. So, so there's that. But it was really neat to see, man, and definitely cool. Definitely very, very cool. So thanks again to Meter for hosting me out at Meter Up. I really appreciated being there. It was great to see everybody. Corey's mom, it was good. Miss Rita was there, which was fantastic. I got some great selfies with some friends. Lance, who works there. We even got, oh yeah, look at this. Rocky, where is it? And this is the shout out, right, to Lexi. We almost got Rocky to lick the AP. Almost. He couldn't do it. So if you're watching, track it, Pacer. Maybe you need to pay a visit to Meter and go see what their APs are made of. Anyway, so that's what we had going on last week at Meter. It was very cool to see. But while that was happening, there were some really cool announcements in the industry. Specifically, look at this. Oscium announces that they've acquired MetaGeek, expanding their wireless network solutions portfolio. It comes as no surprise to anyone who's in the industry that these two tools we're destined for each other. But it does come as a surprise, right? MetaGeek has been around for so long and done so many incredible things, and we've all been users of it, even at the very least Channelizer, right? But then moving into YSpy and Insider, they've had so many great products and so many good collaborations over time, whether it's with NetAlly, whether it's with whoever it is. We've all, I feel like, used their products at one time or another. And now to see them coming together with Oscium, another one of my favorite companies to work with, it's really, really neat. Now, Oscium has always been very, very kind to me. I don't know how I got on their mailing list, but I've always been appreciative. Shirts will show up, T-shirts will show up, and hardware will show up, and test equipment will show up, and it's just so cool. I don't know that I've ever met anyone from Oscium and shook their hand, but if I ever get the chance, I would love to, because now seeing this just makes me so happy. And it makes me so happy for a couple different reasons. Number one, seeing that they're moving in the direction of grabbing another wireless company to combine forces is very, very cool. But if you take into account what they just did with Hamina and the Nomad, how now you have an Oscium hardware platform working with Hamina, and you can converge those two together, and now knowing that MetaGeek is part of that, and it's like it's all coming together. I love what's happening in the industry where these vendors are working together. And one of the things that I think is so fantastic, and I brought this up yesterday, is that, and I'm going to sing the praises. I'm going to sing the praises again, just in case you didn't hear enough about it yesterday. And I didn't get any bad text messages, so it's all good. But one of the people I feel like that has been absolutely imperative in this is this guy, Mr. UC. UC, what a fun guy to be around, and what a dear friend to so many people. And what he's been able to do as the spearhead, has not only been to make it phenomenal, but to start to work across the industry. And when you go back, if you follow his LinkedIn page, you know what he posted. And if you don't, you should really follow it. Here's the headline. They're going to be talking about wireless banter from the last episode. Oh, next episode, Wednesday, October 16th. I would definitely encourage you to tune in and listen to these knuckleheads bant back and forth about NetAlly, because that to me is one of the absolute coolest things. If you scroll down on his page, here somewhere, you can see that they made an announcement that NetAlly now works with Hamina, and you can go in. I might have passed it. You can go in and you can do a site survey with your air check. And once you do that site survey, I'm looking for it. It's here somewhere. Here it is. Site survey with NetAlly G3, NXG, or G2, importing it into Hamina. How awesome is that? I mean, it wasn't that long ago that people were getting in a whole lot of trouble in the industry for posting two tools on the exact same page. And what you have now is you have two companies that are behemoths in the industry, if you will, working together for the good of the network engineer, for people like you and I, for people who do this every day, and we make our money doing these things, knowing that you have Link Live capability. This is just, man, this is so awesome. I'm so excited to see this. You do the survey with your G3 or your G2, and you take that and you pop it into Link Live, and from there you go into Hamina. I mean, I love the idea that what's happening in our industry is some of these manufacturers and providers are coming together, because at the end of the day, that helps us, right? That helps us. That helps me, because I've got all these tool sets and I want to be able to use them. And man, I'm telling you, 2 weeks ago when I was using the NetAlly, I was using the Cyberscope, I logged into Link Live, and their dashboards are just like insanely cool. Now knowing that I can use the RF component and pipe it into one of my favorite RF tools is awesome. I love to see this convergence in the industry. I think a lot of us have been asking for it, and it definitely doesn't fall on deaf ears. So last week, UC announced that, which is really great. So big shout out to the team at NetAlly. Julio and Dan and the team over there have always just done a bang-up job with their tool sets, and now working side by side with groups like Hamina. This is so exciting. I'm very, very excited. I'm excited for our industry. I'm excited where we're going. And then the Oscium and the MetaGeek thing is pretty neat. In other news, what else is happening? DirecTV is acquiring Dish Network, and this is for $1, right? Along with all the other stuff. But it's more than $1. But what I'm interested to see here is not just the DirecTV and Dish Network satellite TV components. I don't subscribe to TV really anymore. I mean, I've got like all the streaming services, but it's been a long time since I've subscribed to anything. And so that's not where my interest is. My interest is in the spectrum. My interest is in what this means for broadband and what they're trying to do with it, because satellite communications right now, there's so much happening. I mean, what a fun space. Fun space, he says. What a fun space to be in. But, Dish has all this spectrum. They have all this spectrum. What are they going to do with it? Are they going to hang on to it? Is that in the interest of DirecTV? Is DirecTV interested in being a broadband provider? Are they going to sell off that spectrum? I mean, Verizon's probably first in line to buy it. They're always first in line. But T-Mobile's doing so many amazing things. Maybe T-Mobile picks up the spectrum. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff happening there. But seeing these two come together, not just for the world of TV, but for communications, is going to be interesting to watch. Obviously, 19 million combined subscribers. Man, that's a whole lot. Comcast has 13.2, and you guys know I love Comcast, but 13.2 compared to the 19. Ooh, that's crazy, man. That's a lot of people. So we'll see if the merger happens. We'll see if the federal government allows that to happen. But either way, that's definitely news that's going on. In more news, let's see, what else is happening? Lots of satellite stuff. I saw this on LinkedIn. I'm going to go ahead and post this up real quick. I saw this on, not on LinkedIn, I saw this on Reddit, which was pretty cool. Let me see if I can load this up here. There's an individual that made a SDR satellite ground station. So this is pretty cool to see. Built using the Intel Nuke and various hardware components to support SDR communications. The Nuke is imaged with Dragon OS distro and a parabolic antenna behind the ground station using an umbrella and conductive paint mixed with iron powder to act as a reflective material. So says the user eWarfare. Love it! 10 feet is directional long periodic UWB antenna. So this is pretty cool to see. I mean, look at that thing. So they're using the Hack RF over there on the right-hand side. They got the keyboard, the NUC, and everything in there to talk using an umbrella. That's pretty awesome, man. What will they think of next? There's also a new, I'm gonna punch this in there and see if it comes up. The new Hack RF ham version. There's a very cool video that has popped up, and I've watched some of it right here. Whoa, way to just blow everybody's eardrums out. So this is the Porta-Pack, and this is a great video. So Snorin has this thing posted up online. He does a really good review of it, and if you cycle through, you can see how it was made and what the difference is between this and the other ones. If you're thinking about buying a Hack RF and you're thinking about buying the Porta-Pack, make sure you choose the right one. There's lots of knockoffs that are out there. Go check out this link. It's Snorin, the new Hack RF Porta-Pack H4M or ham, it looks like. Pretty cool, man. Pretty cool piece of hardware there. Let's see, what else do we have going on? Terahertz communications. This was pretty neat. Check this out. So China achieves the world's first long-distance terahertz communication that can boost 6G. Now, this has been done in the past, and in the past they did it, but I believe, I got to find the link here. It was sub-millimeter waves, and it was done a while back at where was it? It was done very, very, you're talking within a box, right? Just a couple millimeters away from each other. But now this is 1.2 kilometers. So terahertz communications at 1.2 kilometers, that's 3/4 of a mile. It doesn't say what frequency, but it just says above 0.5 terahertz. The research was conducted September 27th through October 1st, exceeding 4,000 meters. Pretty awesome. Now, wavelengths ranging from 3,000 to 30 micrometers. Think about that. And then there was something that people are talking about in this where it talked about being able to bend, being able to curve terahertz communication. There's a whole article on it that I found, curving the signal. And this was published by the IEEE in the IEEE Spectrum. And this goes back April 23rd. Curving terahertz signals around obstacles for 6G. The first curved terahertz data link could boost faster data beyond 5G. And this is a really interesting article. We're not making photons travel along curved trajectory, says Dan Middleman, but what they're doing, he talks about how it's able to slowly curve, not bend, but slowly curve frequencies or curve RF signals. So anyway, roughly 3 gigahertz frequencies, 10 centimeters across. So there's a lot of stuff that's going into this for the whole 6G push. What's going on in 6G? What does that mean? There's already some groups that are out there talking about 6G. Fierce Wireless, I think, had a seminar where they talked about it. So never too early to start learning about what 6G means for everybody here, and how terahertz communication specifically plays into that. There's another article that was published, this from a site called Science Direct, where it's a whole review of 6G mobile communications for requirements, targets, challenges, opportunities. This was a fun little read, so something to start off here. Or just go follow my buddy Dean Bubbly online, and Dean always has a phenomenal view on what's happening on the industry. They're over at WBA right now, and so he's posting a lot of really good content there. But 6G mobile technology and what it means. Look at this. Peak data rate, 1 terabyte per second for 6G. Latency, 0.1 milliseconds on there. 100 bits per hertz for maximum spectral efficiency. Satellite integration, fully AI, fully autonomous vehicle, fully supported. Terahertz communication, widely supported. Man, I mean, maximum frequency, 10 terahertz. Let's go. What does that antenna look like? What is that? How does that get through walls? I'm curious what that's going to look like. But something to read here. If you'd like a link to this, please just let me know. This is the sciencedirect.com. Look up 6G mobile communications technology. It's a very cool article to read. All right, let's see. Lots of other stuff happening right now. There's a new CTO at Verizon. And the reason I bring this up is this was a tableside conversation that we had last week at Meter Up, where we were talking about the implications of having a new CTO at Verizon, what that means for everyone, not just on the RAN side, because he is very supportive of ORAN, which is great because that hopefully will drive costs down for Verizon, which maybe might end up affecting all of us and giving us lower costs. That would be great. But ex-Vodafone executive Santiago Iago Tenorio is the new CTO. And why I'm interested in this is because it's not just the ORAN component of it that he's excited about. Apparently, he's a proponent of opening up the network to do more in general. And to me, I think that that's really neat. We've been doing a lot of work with Signal Roam, Passpoint offload as a service. And I really am a fan of what Passpoint is doing to get people onto networks quicker. There was a big announcement yesterday after, Helium announced a new partnership with American Bandwidth, who we use at Signal Roam. And American Bandwidth now supporting Helium means that their hotspots will support Helium as well. And so now you have the ability for people to just jump on networks using Passpoint and authenticate using Wi-Fi networks, which is phenomenal. But what does that mean in the bigger picture? And how do we get down to a single credential that allows us to roam, whether it's Wi-Fi, whether it's CBRS, or whether it's moving into basic cellular communications? How do we get down to one credential to allow us to move across those networks? And I think that that's really neat. Now, at this point, I want to go back and talk a little bit about Meter Up again, because in that same regard, one of the key announcements that they had was their addition of CBRS and cellular to their product portfolio. To me, this was huge, like absolutely huge, because it's all, we've always talked about wireless with Wi-Fi and wireless with point-to-point, multi-point, and we've talked about point-to-point communications. We've talked about everything on the show, right? But there has never been a single vendor that has everything on one screen, on one stack, as one equipment manufacturer, all in one house. Now, HPE did acquire Athonet, and you can load Athonet configuration on, and you can have a command center to do all of that, but it just doesn't seem the same as what we're looking at with Meter, because not only is it all in that single pane of glass from top to bottom, but with all of the inclusion of AI that they're doing on the back end, that is really getting me excited thinking about what this means for us in the industry overall. Because if we get to that point, then now we have some way to command and control our entire network without having to learn everything behind it, just understanding how it works. And to me, that's where that AI piece comes in. I want to be able to walk in somewhere and my phone just work, no matter if it's on Wi-Fi, no matter if it's on CBRS, no matter if it's on LTE or 5G or 6G or whatever it is. And I want the services delivered to me in the best way, shape, or form, using the best frequency possible for me to be able to consume the services and get the quality of experience that I'm looking for. And the conversation of QoE is a big conversation. How do we make QoE the defining metric for the way that people use networks? And you can only do that if you can wrangle in all of the capability to deliver that QoE. If you're pulling cellular from one provider and Wi-Fi from another provider and IoT from another provider, there's no orchestration there that allows me to have a true quality of experience. You've got to do a lot of work to figure out how to get those packets to me in the best way possible. But when you have the entire stack and you've got AI feeding into the entire thing that's helping optimize it at every level, and this could even be said about down to the PCB, level where the circuits are designed the way specifically to move as much data as possible. When you have one vendor, one manufacturer that combines all of this, that's one of the most exciting things that Meter announced last week, not just because it's CBRS, but because what that means to me and my QoE. So I wanted to talk about that, and also, Federated Wireless on the road with CBRS, or on the conversation with CBRS. Federated Wireless has introduced a new CBRS planning tool, which is going to be probably phenomenal. I would love to get them on and have a demo of that. And I do want to cover one more thing before I end, and that's that Tile Glass has a new RJ45 antenna that really threw me for a loop when I saw this. So this loaded up, and I was like, what in the world is this? I thought it was April Fool's. I thought they were talking about just plugging in an RJ45 jack and having it shoot all the data out, like there was a mini radio or AP or something built in there. But you can see it's just an antenna. There's a mini or MCX, there's an MMCX connector on the end of it that probably snaps right into the board. The key here is that it fits right on top of that RJ45 jack, so it saves a lot of space for any of your design, any of your components that you're doing. So shout out to Tile Glass for being creative and putting that in there. I think that's really nice. The FXM 100 antenna mounts directly on a standard RJ45. So that being said, that's Waves for this week. That's a little bit of what's new, what's now, what's next. We've got a lot of trade shows going on. National Association of Broadcasters is happening in Vegas, Wispapalooza, Mobile World Congress, WBA, and of course, we've got WLPC in Prague coming up. Looking forward to the content coming out of that, which means WLPC in Phoenix is right around the corner, which means to me that CES is happening in January right before that. If you're going to be at any of these shows, please feel free. Reach out, let me know, give me a hello. I'll probably be doing some podcasts live from each one of them, and I hope to see you all there. But for now, for this week, I appreciate you tuning in again, and I look